Good evening. Yes, we're live. We're live. Epic. Wow. And a good evening to you too. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. And we're here tonight with the beautiful Janelle Spencer. Honored to have this beautiful goddess on here tonight. And interesting how the lineup was. We had Tamika last week where we met on one of her retreats back 4 years ago. I think, just 4 years ago, not too long ago. I think the anniversary was, and I think we've spoken about that, haven't we? How that feels like 40 years ago.
Sure has. 4 years ago.
I know. When I look at 4 years ago, when you think, and if you just took out this year, like this year just feels like it doesn't kind of exist. I don't know. I was explaining that today with someone. I feel like I'm on this timeline and I get taken out of it and then I get dropped back into it and then I just get taken out of it and just drop back into it. That feels like this is what 2020.
Yeah, that's probably a really great way of explaining it, actually.
And I think, with what, I guess what I believe in too, like this 3D, 4D, 5D dimensional, like it is sort of like you kind of zipping around in 5D maybe, and then you get dropped back into the 3D reality. And I don't know, that kind of really landed with me with that. But I felt that today or yesterday, whenever that came through. So, yeah, so good evening. I keep saying afternoon. But good evening to anybody who's jumping on live. And if you're jumping on the replay, just do hashtag replay. It just kind of helps the algorithms on Facebook to bring it up to the top of this, this sacred little group that's been created here. And Janelle has joined us this evening. And I asked, I wait for people to come and say, yes, please join me. And often I will just say, hey, would you like to join me? And I reached out to Janelle and I said, would you like to come on Wisdom Wednesdays? Because I really feel like her message is really important to the women in this world and how that has changed, for myself and how, anyway, I'm just going to stop there because this is not my zone. This is Janelle's zone. And this is her beauty. This is or her beauty, funny that, excuse the pun. So maybe Janelle, if you just want to start and kind of share, why you left the beauty industry, what made you leave the beauty, the industry back then. Maybe you didn't know why you left, but you just had to leave, or whatever that is for you, and kind of what happened in the middle, and why you're back there today.
Yeah, sure. Well, first off, thank you for having me. These conversations that you're having are so important, so potent. So thank you for creating the space in which to do that. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
So, well, I guess I did my beauty training course after I finished year 12 in high school. And I loved it for the first probably 6 years. So, I was 19, 20, however old I was, and just really threw myself in there. I kind of lived and breathed it. I spent some of the time managing the salon that I first worked in and created a really great relationship and friendship with the owner of that salon, and wanted to own my own salon one day. Like, that was my aspirations. And I didn't really have a life outside of work other than when you're in your 20s, typical 20-something-year-old, you go out clubbing and you get drunk.
Yeah.
And then you turn up to work again on Monday and, you press repeat. But I guess back then for me, the beauty industry was very much about your personal appearance, how you looked and how you presented yourself. I guess, a lot of people can relate to this when I say that this industry is largely based on, well, majorly profits from women not being okay with themselves, women wanting to change something about themselves, wanting to fit into this box or this idea of what, you know, they've been sold as to how they should look. And
let's just stop there for a second and let that land. You know, we've been sold to look a particular way and to feel
Yep.
unworthy and not good enough in the body that we were born with.
Absolutely. There's major profit to be made from that. And it's been very cleverly, you know, crafted, you know, because who gets to decide? I mean, you look at one thing that many people can relate to nowadays is what's now socially acceptable for eyebrows, you know, for your eyebrows to look. Like, we all know how that has majorly changed.
Massive.
The women that are a bit older that plucked the absolute crap out of their eyebrows and just cannot grow.
You're talking about me, my beauty therapist.
That was fashion. Anyone that's younger watching this, believe it or not, that was fashion once upon a time. Just like these eyebrows now, these on-fleek eyebrows, you know, these really defined, dark, thick eyebrows have now become, you know, the fashion and the norm. But who gets to decide that? Like, who decides that?
That that's now attractive and that's now beautiful and that everyone needs to look like that.
Yes.
And that's not judgment in regards to people who've got their eyebrows like that.
No.
It's so beautiful and it's an art and it's gorgeous and all of that.
Absolutely, yes. I don't want people to get the wrong idea to think that I'm criticising anyone that, you know, on both ends of the scale that have, you know, pencil thin eyebrows or that have these, you know, beautiful thick eyebrows. It's all beautiful and it's all amazing. But I think what we have to examine is our motivations behind why we partake in these things and why we strive for ourselves to look a certain way and why we are unable to just be at more peace and be more accepting as to the body that we have literally chosen to be in. Our souls choose the body that we are birthed into. So I guess so in my 20s I was completely unconscious, you know, to all of this and had bought into the whole story, and you know, I loved it too. You know, it was all about makeup, wearing as much as you possibly could, and just experimenting and playing with that. And that was creativity too. You know, that's kind of a form of art.
100%.
Yeah. And you know, catching up on the goss. You know, every time our clients came back in every few weeks, and you know, it was all very, you know. There's a lot of fun in there too.
Yeah, you guys and hairdressers really become therapists.
Yeah.
In the process.
Yeah, and I worked in a more, I guess you could say, regional area of Victoria. So I had spent my whole high school years there, so from year 7 onwards. So I had got to know many people, like knew many people within the town. So, you know, it was always quite fun. But I guess I don't know where it came from. It was probably my soul, and it was just this path and this journey that I was supposed to take in this lifetime. But after about 6 years, I started becoming really unsettled in what I did, and these thoughts of, you know, is this all there is, started to come up. You know, this is all I had ever done. And I remember being in the salon one day, and one of the girls that I worked with, we got along really well. And I specifically remember this day, I said to her, do you ever think, like, is this all there is? Like, this is all we've ever done is beauty therapy since we left school. Like, do you ever think about doing anything else? And she was kind of like, oh no, not really. So, and you know, that's fine for her, but this sort of question started coming up for me. So what I had noticed in that period of time, what started to happen from there was a quite a lot of, I became really unsettled and really unhappy in my career, and because I'd been so geared towards owning my own salon and living and breathing this career, that when the interest started to fall away in that, I didn't really know what to do with myself. And I continued to stay in the industry. Like, I was in it for probably in the salon for about 13 years straight. I had a little bit of time in and out before I went into the second salon, but you know, when I went into the second salon, pretty much that whole time it was still really quite unsettled. And my boss at the time, once again, I became really good friends with her, and she was amazing with me. And I'm so grateful that, you know, she was the way that she was towards me. We created the friendship, you know, that we did. We're still friends now. But she allowed me to, I guess, or maybe if because I used to do a lot of nails, which is really hard on your body. It's really hard on your back. So I'm like, not doing nails anymore. I don't want to do that. Maybe I will become a beauty therapist and just do facials and massages. So I'd do that for a little bit, and then I'd be like, oh, no, that's not it. I don't actually really enjoy that. You know, I lived up here. This was my space, you know, in my life. I had no connection to my body, and I had no idea what these feelings were and, you know, where I was headed and what I really wanted. So then that wasn't fulfilled. So then I decided to work for myself and rent the nail table, and went into business for myself doing nails. And, you know, so this dynamic kind of, you know, continued to play out for a bit until I ultimately decided to quit altogether, and not be in the beauty industry anymore. I just couldn't relate to it anymore, and I didn't get the enjoyment that I used to get from it. So there was then quite a big chunk and period of time where I felt like I kind of spiraled, really.
Because your whole identity was wrapped up in being, because you lived and breathed it. Your whole identity was wrapped up in being Janelle the beauty therapist.
It was. And I also noticed, you know, as my interest in the industry and that role faded, I also wanted to shed the identity that I had created of the beauty therapist. You know, I got tired of wearing makeup, you know, every single day, and just that whole being really uncomfortable about not being able to be seen without my hair done nice and without makeup on, and, you know, in my sweatpants and t-shirt. You know, it was a really difficult thing. And even though that's how I felt like I wanted to show up in that time, it was really difficult to do that.
And I guess based on, you know, so like that journey, like that rumble was all about like thinking it was about the industry. But I guess, was it about the industry?
No. Well, in you know, you'll find out soon that it wasn't necessarily in relation to the industry. It was just, it was more like a self-identity crisis, I feel. You know, I was completely, like I said, I lived in my mind, very much in my masculine, like very inauthentically in my masculine. And as you know, had a lot of control issues and, you know, all of these things that pop up in your life when you're inauthentically, you know, more in your masculine. But yeah, I really spiraled. I got diagnosed with depression, and which I feel for myself personally wasn't, I mean, I was probably depressed, but I feel like depression is kind of a label that people get given for something that is much deeper that's going on, that, you know, is unable to be identified sometimes. But for me, it was a bit of a, I'd lost my purpose. Like, I'd lost my drive, I'd lost my direction forward, and I didn't know what made me happy. I didn't know what I wanted to do anymore, because I had wrapped myself up so much in my career. I didn't have that anymore. It's kind of like, well, what do I do with myself now? And crazily, it was in my late 20s at this stage, I thought, oh, maybe this is how you feel when you're ready to start having kids. So, you know, let's pop out a couple of kids.
That'll make you happy.
Yeah, that'll make me happy. You know, as much as I love my kids, you know, it didn't fulfill that void that I was feeling. And even before I had the kids, like I put my husband at the time through so much. You know, I drank a lot. I would stay out really late during the week. There's probably one or two occasions where I didn't come home at all. You know, I went through this sort of really dark patch. So it wasn't until after the kids that these, I guess, things started coming into my life. It was kind of like the breadcrumbs that started to get dropped for me, that I started to follow that path and did some things that were quite outside of the norm where I lived. One of those was getting into network marketing, which really helped me to get into the personal development side of things. I've never been exposed to a world like that, so it was just completely like, you know, mind blowing. And that ruffled a lot of feathers with people in my circle because it wasn't the norm where I lived, and people didn't understand it, and they noticed that my husband and I were changing, and it was quite confronting for them. And I think they were sort of worried for us too, you know, in their own, I guess, limited way of looking at things. You know, they were worried for us and fearful. So yeah, that ultimately led me to moving to Queensland to accept a job that I'd got, and I'd keep on doing these things and it wouldn't be the thing. So that would get me really disappointed, but it was the next stepping stone, you know, it was the next bit that sort of, you know, got me along my path, which ultimately led me to Tamika's work. So anyone watched Shaz's call last week, she interviewed Tamika, and yeah, her work was the very first time that I'd done any sort of healing work, soul-based work, and it was an absolute life changer and game changer for me. When I went to her initial free half-day seminar, she was talking to my soul, and I was just like, yep, that's exactly where I need to be. So that's where my journey continued and where we met, which was pretty amazing. We actually met in Bali, didn't we? And
we met at the airport first.
Oh, we did meet at the airport. I kind of triggered you a bit, Shaz.
No, I didn't trigger me. It was the people that I was with at the time. It was just hilarious. It was just so funny.
Yeah. So, but it was just, I find it so interesting that we met in Bali, but yet we live 5 minutes from each other. So, you know, that was something that we got to discover, and we got to build this amazing, you know, friendship that we have today.
And I look at the two people that we were back then too. We were very kind of, you know, like you said, the wounded masculine, the wounded the feminine, like really trying to hold our shit together. Got these masks up, like everything was just like stiff. That would be the word I would call myself, stiff. Yeah.
And we had very good reason, you know, to be in those places too, you know. Very good reason. Like most of us, we all have our fair share of traumas and hurts and past life stuff, and, you know, that we all have to deal with. And, you know, I'm just grateful that we've been able to learn something different, you know, learn something new that is very heart-centered and feels right. So,
sorry.
No, you go.
I think so you started on that journey with Tamika, and, you know, doing, you know, the work that she offers, and then, you know, you've obviously done other stuff as well since then. And, you know, I guess, like, for me too, you know, it was the beginning of a deeper soul level self-love journey. You know, when you look at the iceberg, you know, it really is about getting, you know, that self-love is everything below the iceberg. And the self-love is often, you know, projected in, like, go and get a massage, go love yourself on a massage. But we know this is all part of that. Like, there's a whole, like, and I think this is where your work is so powerful. Now, because you understand what's under the iceberg.
Yeah.
And I guess for your own journey, like, tell me about that self-love journey.
Like, well, like,
you know,
I guess
beauty to you now, like, what's that? What does that look like?
Well, I guess beauty to me, and being in the beauty industry previously was, like I had said, very much about looks, and very much about, you know, those sorts of things. It was never, I never enjoyed doing facials and massage and that sort of thing, because I had never really connected into the, you know, the nurturing and nourishing aspect of what can be offered through that role. It was all very, can't think of the word that I'm trying to think of.
Robotic, would that be the word?
Yeah,
Like
it was
very
just robotic, but
disconnected.
very superficial.
Yeah.
Is the word that I'm looking for. And I think, you know, if you're the type of person that kind of lives in your head and you're not connected to your heart or your body, the energy that you give off in a massage or a facial is very different to, you know, someone who gives it from a more heart-centered, you know, nurturing and nourishing place. So through the work that I've done on myself, I've been able to come back to a place of thinking, oh, you know what, maybe I could actually go back into that industry. You know, I'd gotten to a place where I wanted to be able to create something for myself. I wanted to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. I wanted to be able to support myself and my children financially. And I feel like I have something to offer, you know, in this life and offer other people. And I became to realise that I wanted to use my existing skills that I had, but in a very different way. So the start of this year or late last year, I decided to come back into the beauty industry. And
what does that look like for you? Like when I look at beauty now, like for myself, and you know, and I guess what you're, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but like for me, like I see it as it's not about what you look from the outside or what you're going to receive. It's about the process of how you're going to feel.
yeah,
You know, it's that real feeling base, and that's the feminine aspect
yeah,
of dropping in,
absolutely.
you know, into your heart. It's not about this external look. Like for me, it's
Yeah,
not really, I'm not waiting, you know, and I'm still journeying through that. Like I'm still learning to love myself in that way. Like I'm not there yet as such. So
yeah, I think we're all a work in progress, you know, in that as well. And I can definitely say that's the case for myself. But I think of through this journey, when you start to heal things and you start to peel back these layers, you can begin to have much more compassion for yourself, and you can start to appreciate your body and the things that you do have so much more. You know, the fact that our body just does all these things for us, and you know, you can begin to appreciate that much more in whatever shape or form that it comes. You know, to have health and yeah, to be much more loving towards yourself. And just to realize that we're all unique. You know, like we're being sold this idea that we all need to look a certain way, but we are all, it's all such a lie, because there's no one else in this world like you, Shaz. You're the only Shaz like you, just like there's only one me in this whole entire world, and that's pretty damn special,
isn't it?
Yeah. So just to really let that sink in.
And I guess that's coming to you, like from your, like the service that you would offer now, from because you're serving in a heart space, space. If that's, you know, you're connected with yourself. So when you're giving a facial, you know, you're looking at not the face, for example. You're looking holistically at the whole body and bringing a beautiful feeling and nourishment to that person on the table.
Yeah.
So that they walk out feeling good from the inside out, not the outside in. You know, and I feel like that's like an energy transaction.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to, you know, support people to kind of drop there, to be able to receive. Because like when you're living in your head, you can't really receive. I know I can't. You know, I can't receive. You know, like you're still here. You're not. embodying the receiving aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't relax. Like your body literally cannot relax. And before I do all of my treatments, I actually take my client through a mini, I guess, relaxation process to help them to, drop their awareness down into their body, out of their mind, to, relax any tension or if they're holding on anywhere. And just to allow their body to be fully supported by the bed beneath them, to allow themselves to take this time for themselves, because so often we don't allow ourselves. We might have booked the massage and we might have turned up for it and we might be laying on the bed, but we haven't actually allowed ourselves to take that time for ourselves. We've still got the to-do list, running in the mind. So now I really like to be able to provide a space where people can come and reconnect to themselves, reconnect to their body, to be nurtured and to be nourished, and to really have, stress relief and, fill up their cup and recharge and, be able to walk out that door feeling like they've, recharged a little bit more.
Yeah, and I, just for, and I just want to say from my heart too, the space that you hold is, for anybody else who might be watching this now or on the replay, and this goes on YouTube and everything too, but because I really want to share the space, the energetic space that you can hold is safe and secure, and it's clean. It's a clean space. It's an energy exchange of self-care. I'm trying to put the words in. I'm trying to put the words in it. So people get to feel that they feel really comfortable and relaxed with you, because I know what it's like when you can show up somewhere and the energy is a bit funky.
Yeah, and someone tells you to strip down to your undies and get on the table, and you're like,
yeah,
no.
Exactly. And I get, and because you've delved into the work, you've delved into the inner work, so the personally on a personal level, the struggles of what all that looks like underneath.
And I feel like if you can have the more compassion that you can have for yourself, or the more acceptance, the more love that you can have for yourself, well, then that's more that you're able to give to someone else. And then people feel that energy, people feel you being completely okay with their bodies and completely accepting of their bodies. And people feel that energy.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, it's really, and I know you're wanting to, grow that because, conscious connections, this is the name of your business, conscious connections. So that's what it is. It's not just about a facial, it's not just about a massage and eyebrow wax. It's really about conscious connection in the moment of that particular time, giving yourself time to connect with your body, into your breath, into your being, rather than just getting eyebrows done.
Yeah.
It's not the speed in and out, and I'm the worst, and I'm still transitioning there because I don't book anything. I'm like, Janelle, can you fit me in just an hour fall? I'm like, damn it, because I have not planned that. I'm still doing the speed dating with it, but that's what it is. It's like a speed date with it. You want a speed date because there's still that needs to look a particular way for me.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
One of the things that I love about, because I have a home-based beauty room, I work from home, and I can set up that space how I want. It can have the energy that I want it to have, but I also have the freedom and the ability to, excuse me, book my appointments how I want them to be booked. So, I can allow that bit of extra time after each treatment to, not only clean up and get ready for my next client, but to reconnect to myself, to take a 5-minute breather, to, chill out or do some yoga stretches to help support my body, because it's really quite physical work. And when you initially do your beauty training, you don't get taught how to look after your own body. You don't get taught how to posture yourself properly so that you don't end up being the one needing the massage at the end of it. You don't get taught any of that stuff.
And again, the self-love.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I can I can create this really warm and nurturing and welcoming space for my clients where, in the salon environment, when you're working for someone else, it's go, go, go. Like you have one appointment booked straight after the other. You've got an hour facial, you get an hour allocation for that appointment, and that's it. You've got to quickly get that room cleaned up before the next one comes in. So it's really fast-paced, stressful kind of environment. So,
So when you're fast-paced, stressful environment as a beautician trying to do that, that energy is then projected onto the person onto your tables. So
absolutely.
And I just wanted to remind, just really bring that to the surface, because that's the energy transaction you would get in this kind of environments. And it's not saying that they're bad or wrong, but it's just like looking at beauty and nurturing in a really different way.
Yeah, like I know when I used to do massage, I was thinking about everything but that massage, that I was doing in that moment, Yeah, but where through my own healing journey and my own reconnection to myself, I've learnt the power of connecting to source and connecting to Gaia and, being really grounded in my own body and using my body as a channel for energy, rather than being stuck in my mind and having all this stuff going on and then having that be the energy exchange. And I do get quite a lot of clients that say to me when they see me for the first time, like, oh, like that was just so relaxing. I almost nodded off a few times, and that's never happened for me. Like it's not uncommon for me to get that feedback, and I love hearing that. I love it when people fall asleep. I love it when people snore, because it means that someone has trusted me enough and has been relaxed enough to fall asleep. Like that's a pretty big thing, for someone to do. So to get that is the biggest compliment that I can receive. Like it's amazing. Love it.
I can so relate. I can so relate to not being on that side, but like being on different tables and, feeling trusted in the space and being able to relax fully. And even like, in a waxing, like when you've had you're just about asleep in that kind of stuff. So, I can very much relate. And I can't wait till Friday because I have a session with you on Friday morning. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, so I'm introducing a new treatment. So I'm excited to be.
Yeah, and I'm really excited. I think this, Janelle, I honestly feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg of what conscious connection is going to be about. It's going to be so much more than a mass, it's so much, so much more because of the skills and the space that you can hold and how you can connect and it's that transformation of what the industry is going to look like. You might come in I might be showing up for a massage and a cry and a therapist at the same time. Like that's kind of where I really feel. I mean, because we're friends and we kind of get that, and you give that to me anyway. But I really feel like that's when we can have somebody support you to drop into your body, because that's when we really start to feel. So when we start to feel, it's a beautiful energetic release then to be able to move that energy if it needs to move. And and I know that's what you're wanting to really.
I'm totally open to my business morphing in time, and I know that it absolutely will. I'm kind of just setting the foundations at the moment, and I'm really kind of just trusting my intuition and just being guided and getting myself sort of established. But I have no doubt that it will continue to grow and change as I grow and change.
And I think it's like anything change in any kind of industry, it feels like you've got to meet the industry first, and then like you're planting those seeds and you're really creating some beautiful foundations to be able to expand on this really hard work that you're offering.
Absolutely.
And
you can see a lot of salons going organic and natural and that sort of thing now too, so that's kind of like the very initial sort of baby steps to that industry kind of changing. And I'm definitely on board and support of that. I try and use all plant-based and as natural as I possibly can and organic where I can.
Yeah.
Because that's part of self-love too, isn't it? Being able to put things on our skin and into our bodies that nourish us and benefit us rather than, doing the opposite. So,
and for our environment
yeah,
as well, it's
absolutely.
so massive. Honestly, Janelle, thank you. And I really, I don't know what do I want to say here? How do I want to close this off? I think anyone looking for, some nurturing, like true nurturing, reach out to Janelle, and I'll have Janelle put all her links in this group, in this chat, and book something, book something with her, share it with a friend. Coming up to Christmas now, beautiful way to gift somebody that you love a massage, hint to your husbands or your boyfriends or whatever, that this might be what you need, or give something beautiful to your mother or anything, daughter. Yeah, it's a special place you're creating. I'm really proud to be witnessing you transform this industry, to be honest with you. I feel really honored,
Thank you.
to be cheering you on and watching this industry change.
That's
So
beautiful. I never thought of it as that big, so that's really cool to hear. Thank you.
it's transforming, and you're planting these massive big seeds for something really special. Really special. It's really beauty from the inside out.
Yeah, it is. I love working with women. I love nurturing and nourishing them, and I get some guys coming in from time to time too, and they're awesome, because we all, humans need connection, we need touch, and it's really beautiful to be able to, provide an environment for them in that way too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, my love, for joining. Really great having a chat as always.
Yes.
As always. So pop all your details in this live, and so everyone can reach out to you to get in contact with you. And I will see you in another, I can't wait to interview you in another 12 months to see what's transformed.
I know, see what's changed. That would be so cool. I would love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be beautiful. Thank you, gorgeous.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.